Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is April the 7th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Monday. Hopefully, it was a fun day for you. Hopefully, you got that lasagna. Hopefully, things were very Garfield for you. As for me, it was good. It was solid. A bit of a setback, but it's more of a mental thing more than anything. So we can get to that real quick, maybe. But overall, starting off with work, it was the right amount of busy for the day. So we stayed at it. We stayed active. Not too bad. Let's see. I did have a bit of a snack moment. I was feeling a little hungry. I treated myself to the little to go cereal bowl things that you could get like at a hotel, or I don't maybe latchkey. That was maybe the other time I might have had those, or if you were camping, in some kind of situation, something like that, right? The little to go cereals. I have been hankering for some shredded wheat, so I got that. No milk. I generally don't love milk in my cereal these days, and I really don't eat that much cereal. So, I was like, okay, I'll have some of that. Not too bad. But overall, work was fine. It was good. Then we went into the gym. Gym initially wasn't as busy, so I liked that. That was dope. But I wasn't able to get on the main machine that I wanted to get on, so that was a little bit of a bummer. But that being said, my neck is still hurting me a bit, so kind of fine that I didn't get to it. And generally, I felt like I didn't go as hard on the weight training today again. But overall, I think that's fine. I kind of feel like I'm almost, I don't want to say I'm down tuning, like, oh, I'm taking it easier now. It's going to be that now. No, I just think, I'm in a certain kind of phase where, I need to kind of recuperate a little bit, maybe not go as hard, not push it, at least to the limit. So, today was good for that. It was overall a solid workout. Felt good. Let's see here. Really, the only snag that I have to really yap about. Actually, this kind of segues back into last night. But last night I didn't really. I you could say I slept too good, and then you could just say I slept like ass, right? I had this, and this is a typical thing that happens for me on a Sunday night, is that I get tired really early, like around 8 or 9, and then I wind up just succumbing to sleep. And then I wake up, in the middle of the night, and I can't go back to sleep. And then I get tired maybe an hour or two before I go to work. So that was a situation at play last night. Also, I think I snacked a little bit too hard. I cleared this old thing of chips that I've been kind of, I've been pecking at since I've been on the diet, but I haven't been making my Mexican beef and rice bowl. So I was like, let me just finish off these chips finally, fully. And then I ate some more stuff. And I think all of the grazing in total honestly maybe did more damage than the pizza did, or maybe it's just a combined thing and I'm just being really in my head about it, because overall the setback is very minor. But we did wind up gaining some weight when I checked the scale today, and it's kind of been a trend throughout the weekend a bit. So that was a little bit of an L, a little bit of you know a bummer for me. But overall, I know that that's going to come with it, and I'm really trying not to get too stuck on any of the small quote unquote defeats, setbacks. Overall, this is just a part of the process. You're living your life, and that is okay. So, I'm not really trying to be too hard on myself, too boomed out. But, I do have my goals. I do have my things that I'm trying to strive for. So, definitely the way my temperament is, especially right now, is that when I see that setback, I just want to give myself a bunch of lashings or something. I just want to be really hard on myself. And it's no, it's okay. These things happen. We're going to have tomorrow. We're going to get after it tomorrow. We're going to do the work, at the gym. We're going to do the work at the kitchen. That is the goal, every day, right? So overall, not too much of an L, not too much of a problem for my Monday evening. And I am happy to be yapping to my dear listeners. So yeah, on that note, let's go ahead and do our startup and get into some news. Oh, yes. Ooh. Ooh, very yummy. Okay, sorry. All right. Our first story comes from Al Jazeera. Unprecedented. Video shows last moments of Gaza medics killed by Israel. A video discovered on mobile phone of one of the victims reveals the details of an Israeli attack that killed 15 medics, including 8 from the Palestinian Red Cross. Now, if this story sounds familiar, it is because we've covered it. We've talked about it a couple times already on the pod. But this is one of those moments where, I've said time and time again, we've seen, Israel, the IDF, lie about their actions, very bold face, and then just not care. Pin it on this thing or that thing, say we're going to do an investigation and move along. But this is one of those moments where you actually have actual video evidence, like directly refuting what soldiers on the ground were saying, and that became the line from the IDF that, they didn't have their lights on. They were in an unmarked vehicle. We didn't know who they were. They were moving suspiciously. So that's what happened. Oh, and that we didn't execute them in cold blood, even though there's now video that we have that is evident that shows that this is what happened, that they were doing their jobs, that you pulled them over and you executed them. A video recovered from the mobile phone of a Palestinian medic killed along with 14 of his colleagues in Gaza last month contradicts Israeli claims. The video, found on the phone of deceased Rifat Radwan and released on Saturday by the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, or the PRCS, shows their final moments as the Palestinian medics, wearing highly reflective uniforms and inside a clearly identifiable PRCS ambulance, are shot by Israeli forces in Rafah's Talun az-Sultan neighborhood in southern Gaza on March 23rd. Now, I'm just going to cut to just kind of what is in the video. Let's see here. The video, apparently filmed from inside a moving vehicle, captures a red fire truck and ambulances driving through the night. The vehicles stop beside one another on the roadside, and 2 uniformed men exit. Moments later, intense gunfire erupts. In the video, the voices of the 2 medics are heard. One saying, the vehicle, and another responding, it seems to be an accident. Seconds later, a volley of gunfire breaks out, and the screen goes black. The medic recording the scene can later be heard reciting the Islamic declaration of faith, the Shahada, which Muslims traditionally say in the face of death. There's no God but God. Muhammad is his messenger, he says repeatedly, his voice trembling with fear as intense gunfire continues in the background. He is also heard saying, "Forgive me, mother, because I chose this way, the way of helping people." He then says, "Accept my martyrdom, God, and forgive me." Just before the video ends, he is heard saying, the Jews are coming, apparently referring to the Israeli soldiers. And I listened to this playback while I was, at work, listening to the fucking BBC, and you just hear it, and it almost, there's some, like, a dark kind of machine quality to it, where you're just hearing bang, 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 and it's like, what is going on here? Because especially now that you have the full story without any fucking IDF spin or anything like that, it's like, is there some surrounding shit going on that's accompanying this gunfire, or are you literally just laying down people as you go, and then you just like, yep, you finally get to this person and then you kill them, just to then put them in a shallow grave, move their car around, get it out of the way, and essentially act like you're doing them a favor in doing that, and those actions there, to make them so it's like, well, hey, that way, they were pretty easy to identify, and you give them a proper burial later. Like, as if the IDF was doing the most humane thing in that moment. So, it's hard, because I don't like coming back to these stories. This is telling you something you already know if you listen to this podcast, if you do your own fucking shit and actually look at this shit on a day-to-day basis or whenever you check in. The story hasn't changed. None of this is different. But it's crazy that even in the face of this evidence, Israel, the IDF, they do the same fucking thing. They go, well, we know at least a handful of these guys, one or two of them, whatever, even six. They're Hamas. So like, we did the right thing here. Yet again, like that was the tagline that they used before, and they're literally like, well, where's the evidence? Where's the proof of that even? And they don't show it. They're like, we just know. It's like, okay, cool. That doesn't even negate this fucking atrocity, by the way. I need that to be stated. Like, even if that is 100% verifiable, that doesn't allow you to do what you were continuing to do. These are people who are trying to help others, and they got their lives taken away, snuffed out. They were executed. So, it's just worth coming back to these moments. And, it's not just a post October 7th thing. This is a thing that we've seen and covered, even in just my short stint as a podcaster doing this shit. We've talked about this shit. The atrocities, the war crimes, the day after day of fucking oppression and abuse, the slow to fast moving pace of an ethnic genocide that we are all complicit in, at least as Americans, right? Like, and I mean, shit, as a Western hegemony, there's blood on your little fucking fingies. Don't fucking doubt it. So it's frustrating, dude. It's upsetting. I know I'm just kind of coming out the gate hot here, but it felt important to start off with the story. Let's move along. We got some SCOTUS shit to talk about. So let's take it on back to the States. Though I haven't even covered some of the political stuff going on in Israel. I kind of missed it with the Shin Bet versus Netanyahu. It's a whole thing. He's trying to once again kind of keep his power and then also keep himself out of any kind of jail, any kind of criminal conviction. So he's kind of using this moment and any kind of energy and political clout that he has to kind of get the people who are trying to get him out in the Shin Bet. Not that that is any kind of a good or great thing here, but anyway, that's why I haven't really covered it. Anyway, well, let's move along. From ABC News, Supreme Court declines to hear challenge to NY ban on guns in sensitive locations. The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday declined to take up a challenge to gun laws in New York that bans firearms from certain sensitive locations and require that handgun owners be of good moral character. The High Court did not give an explanation onto why it chose not to hear the case. The decision leaves in place an appeals court ruling that upheld provisions of the law while also striking down some elements. Now, I just want to go to immediately rant and riff on this. Good that they keep this in. This is a New York policy that, it's fine. I will say, and I will add, is this doing that much? Is this doing a lot of heavy lifting? No. It's a regulation, though, so I'm never going to be mad about it personally. But, yeah, I just don't think this is doing anything. And I know, gun companies or whatever are mauling a little bit. They're a little upset. They got a little tear in their teacup. But they're going to get over it. They're going to be fine. They're making a lot of money. They always do. This is another aside. I do love, and I'm sure you've seen or heard this, where it doesn't matter whether you're talking to a rabid fucking, conservative person or on the opposite side of the conversation, like a leftist who's really about that fucking action, Jackson. They both want the same thing for you, which is for you to get a fucking gun. I know this conversation 2 ways to goddamn Sunday, and don't get me wrong, you've got my attention on it. I've gone back and forth. I'm on the spectrum of gun ownership. For me personally, do I want to get into it? It more or less is a money thing. I'm not paying to waste my fucking time on a thing that's not going to really help or save me I think the people think that it's going to, or be part of my tool in the revolution, whatever. It's come on, just be fucking for real. Can it? But I get it. These are your rights. You're allowed to have a gun. But yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of a nothing burger, and I can kind of get why the Supreme Court didn't want to cover or actually hop on this, because there's not really a win for you no matter whether you're the majority or the minority of this group here. For the conservatives, you don't stand to win knocking out something like this and saying, yeah, we don't need it, it's frivolous, it's useless, blah, 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 blah. But for the liberals of this, like, what are you gaining by like having this whole row and saying, yes, we need to defend this, but then, there's still, gun deaths and shit in America, like, going up and up and up. So like, what good is this really doing? So you might as well just let it sit, just let it simmer, like, yeah, keep your good moral character bullshit, good fiber, then you can own a gun. Don't lie, don't you lie. Like, that's why I just go, okay, it's fine, like, whatever, keep it. But I don't think this is actually really saving that many people or anything like that. But once again, I am pro regulation, like, I really don't think we need to have any and all of the guns all of the fucking time. But, that's a thing for another episode, another time. Anyway, we are getting and keeping with the Supreme Court, but we're really just kind of keeping things judicial. It's also another fucking update. We got to hop into the Trump verse. We got to fucking dive in to the Orange Empire. But anyway, from USA Today, George, fuck me. Judge orders U.S. to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia back from El Salvador prison. In a blow to the Trump administration, a federal judge ruled Friday the U.S. government acted illegally when it mistakenly deported a Maryland father to El Salvador and ordered that he must be returned to the United States. This was an illegal act. U.S. District Judge Paula Zenas of Maryland said of the deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Excuse me. Zenas gave the administration until 11:59 p.m. Monday to remove Abrego Garcia from the violent El Salvador prison where he is being held and return him to U.S. soil. So this was a part, I believe, the second wave of El Salvadorian prisoners, or I'm sorry, American prisoners. They were, people who were labeled as gang members, Tres de Agua, and essentially sent to El Salvador, which is not even the native area for this gang, for these people that they're sending, at least a good amount of them. And in some situations, these people weren't even in none of these situations, they were convicted of a crime. They were all in the process of, and then essentially they're saying, hey, we are saying you're a gang member. We're saying you're a gang terrorist and we can just ship you and do whatever the fuck we want. Bye. And in this situation, Abrego Garcia was trying to fight to stay, and they said, no, you're an MS-13 gang member, even though that was something that essentially someone had said, hey, this guy is a gang member. They testified that he was. He says, no, I'm not. Like, any of these implications that you're saying are fabricated. That is not what it is. And the U.S. is just like, okay, that's fine. And in this situation, they're like, yeah, we can send you. You're an MS-13 gang member. So we have every right to do this, even though this is like a family man, a working man, just an average fucking citizen. And essentially, because he got done up doing, the things that he was trying to do, and it's like, well, he's here legally, so we can just kind of slap these labels on him. And now that we are in power, we have the Trump administration now, we are who we are, we're just going to send you away. And this is a specific case of like, hey, we're trying to get this guy back. It got to the point, because once again, I just kind of want to riff now, where the judge and the lawyer for the DOJ, or, at least I believe the Maryland or whatever, is saying, hey, like, look, you got me. Like, we will do our best. Like, I'll talk to the Department of Justice, see what they can do. And essentially, Pam Bondi just was like, oh, we're suspending him indefinitely. Like, this person didn't fight for the case, like, zealously. So I think it's with pay. But essentially, they're like, yeah, no, our line is, the administration line is, we can't get him back. And it's like, what do you mean you can't get him back? This whole arrangement that you have with Bukele, the president, is of your making. You have full control over it. Like, you go. You send the marshals and they pick him up. They put him on a fucking plane the same way you sent him, and he's back here. But the fact of the matter is they want to wash their hands of these people. And if they make this concession, even though they've already said they're wrong, they made a mistake, they're like, yes, we don't have any real evidence, and, we just have this testimony from this person, and that's it. But we're not going to change our mind on this. We're not going to renege on this. This is what it is. So this has gone all the way up to the Supreme Court in an emergency ruling. So that leads me to our next bit, kind of part 2 here. From the BBC, U.S. Supreme Court pauses order returning or requiring return of deported man. So essentially, like I said, it was supposed to be at midnight, right? 11:59. Well, essentially they're like, nah, it's fine. We're gonna put that on hold. So I don't know for how long, but essentially negating the federal judge here, saying, hey, let this shit play out. And then also going back, this is a bit of breaking news from USA Today up at the top. Supreme Court allows Trump administration to resume deportations under Alien Enemies Act. Essentially, this dusty ass war act where it's like, hey, we're under war, like, we're under attack. Like, we're allowed to like have these provisions to just like nullify like constitutional law and just kick people out however we want. You know, it doesn't matter how ethical or whatever. We don't really need to like abide by the processes or rules. This act allows us to do that. And the Supreme Court's like, that's fine. So that goes to show you that things are not good here. You know, I'm not happy to bring this update. It's really frustrating, especially because it did look like things were, at least in this one specific niche situation, this circumstance, that Abrego Garcia was going to be potentially able to come home to his family. And, you know, still he'd have to go through this whole, you know, legal process, but he's supposed to be doing that here. Like, he filed for asylum. Like, he went through all of the processes, and they're like, it doesn't matter. You're a gang member. You're gone. You're a criminal. Goodbye. And it's like, oh, well, oopsie. But we're not going to fix any of this. Like this is the fast and loose nature of this administration, and it's just not going to stop. It is only going to get worse because they are only getting emboldened by even up for the very top of the judicial branch. And you're really not seeing much fucking fight and hesitation from Congress. Not much. We covered a little bit of that shit from the tariff stuff or whatever. That's an ongoing fucking menace. But you're not seeing too much barking. You're not seeing too much rolling over for this shit. I mean, really a lot of rolling over, a lot of laying down. They're going fetch for him, you know, old Donald Trump. So, I mean, yeah, you know, shit looks grim. Shit looks bleak for that. But I mean, moving on to, I guess you could say, our second act of the Trumpverse talk for today. From the Associated Press, the U.S. has revoked visas for South Sudanese while civil war threatens at home. The United States once cheered the creation of South Sudan as an independent nation. Now the Trump administration has abruptly revoked the visas of all South Sudanese, saying the country's government has failed to accept the return of its citizens in a timely manner. The decision means South Sudanese could be returned to a nation again on the brink of civil war or unable to seek the U.S. as a haven. There was no immediate response from South Sudan's government, which has struggled since independence from Sudan in 2011 to deliver some of the basic services of the state. Years of conflict have left the country of over 11 million people heavily reliant on aid that has been hit hard by another Trump administration decision, sweeping cuts in foreign assistance. Now, the status of the protected people of South Sudan in America is set to expire on the 3rd. So this is coming up in a blow where it's essentially saying, hey, you have less than a month to potentially get yourself sorted, and there's a likelihood that you just get deported. That, hey, your time here is done. You have to go back. Now, they go through the whole history here in, you know, South Sudan, the whole civil war, you know, factional nature, all that shit. We're going to save that for another day. We're going to table that. But that's there if you want to get into that now. I really just kind of wanted to focus on the Trump administration at hand here, and just how, yet again, this is another example of how Trump wants to boost his number so fucking much just to get points with his fucking base, and to like tout this line that he is tough on immigration and he's making America great again by this and that method. Like, all while he's just giving, you know, money, kickbacks, things of that nature to, like, what? The fucking 1% big corporation type shit. Even if he's fucking them, too, with this tariff shit. It's wild how little we matter to these people. And once again, I'm not saying that's a new fucking thing, or it's so much worse under the Trump administration. It's just so mask off. And, like, not that it wasn't before in Trump 1.0, but just seeing him have the full power and be so bullish in nature about all of this shit. It's wild. It's grim. It fucking sucks. So obviously I hate to leave a story on a sour note. But it's not that it's getting better, but we're going to talk about retail. We're going to talk shop. We're going to talk about a potential death of a thing. A flip of a penny, if you will. But let's go ahead and take our last break and we'll close it out. It's less bad news, but at least by comparison to the things we've talked about today. There's no death for the rest of the episode, so there we go. Yay, we made it. Man, sometimes I really wish I was a sports guy. All right. The last story comes from People. JCPenney is closing numerous locations by mid-2025. Is a store near you affected? Oh, we'll find out. JCPenney is scaling back operations across the United States. The retailer will close down 8 stores around the nation by mid-2025, according to USA Today, Axios, and KTTV TV. That's a lot of TVs. A majority of the JCPenney stores set to close are located in shopping malls, including those at Westfield, Annapolis Mall in Annapolis, the Pine Ridge Mall in Pocatello, my bad, that's Maryland, Pocatello, Idaho, the Westridge Mall in Topeka, Kansas, the Fox Run Mall in Newington, New Hampshire, and the Asheville Mall in Asheville, North Carolina. Others are located in town centers and areas with a cluster of shops, such as the one in Charleston Center in Charleston, West Virginia, the shops at Tanforan in San Bruno, California, and the shops at Northfield in Denver, Colorado. JCPenney did not respond to People's request for comment. Let's see. JCPenney was founded in 1902 and prides itself as one of the nation's largest retailers of apparel, home, jewelry, and beauty merchandise, according to its website. I found this story to be a bit funny, and I mean, obviously not funny for stores to close down, people lose their jobs, all that blah, 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 blah. But I was literally talking bankruptcies to a coworker the other day, and he made the joke of, hey, but at least they haven't got JCPenney. They still holding out strong. And then I went and we were talking later with maintenance, and we were talking about stores going belly up. I think I mentioned the Hooters thing or whatever. And I just said, I think people really get so tied into this whole empire thing, and they forget that these motherfuckers have to fade away, And I mentioned Sears, and everyone's like, yeah, oh yeah. It's like, yeah, because these motherfuckers think I don't mean my coworkers, but these companies kind of think that they are doing the forever business, that they are never going to go away. Like, we are just as integral as the banks. It's like, no, you're a retailer. At the end of the day, if there's going to be something faster, leaner, more efficient, cheaper, more importantly, it doesn't matter. That's what's going to get sold more times than not. And, then there's trends and this, that, and the fucking third. Kind of keeping it, though, in the current. For JCPenney, I wasn't really aware of this. I haven't really been keeping track. JCPenney wasn't really my fucking store. But in early 2020, JCPenney filed for bankruptcy reorganization under Chapter 11, tied to strains of COVID-19 pandemic. The company later emerged in December 2020 with new owners, including Brookfield Asset Management and Simon Property Group, as well as a new plan to restructure its stores and reduce debt. So that's a common thing. But apparently, things have just not worked. And I don't want to say it's over for JCPenney, because they still have, I think, plenty of stores. I actually have the Google set up. I think as early, and this is from the AI overview from Google, there's a total of 656 stores as early as 2025. So there might be down to 650. So, I mean, hey, there's still a bunch of stores. They're in, 49 U.S. states and Puerto Rico. So there you go. JCPenney's still a thing. I'm not saying they're donezo, but I mean, they're definitely on watch. I mean, I guess they've been on watch and I just didn't know, now I do. But I don't know. If you're a fan of JCPenney, by all means, sound off in the comments. Let me know. You can always hit me up. We'll get to how in a quick second. But if you, like to support the effort, because we're done here. That's it. JCPenney might be dying. Oh my gosh. Oh, no, no. TJ Maxx, you should go? Question mark. I don't know. I wasn't a TJ Maxx guy either. But that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about department stores anymore. We're done. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, become a newsie today. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Free ways to hit me up. IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. We can talk retail. We can talk shop, whatever you like. I love talking news. I love that. Send me some tips. I love some news tips. But yeah, subscribe to the YouTube. Hit the like button. Like I said, leave that cool, jazzy comment. What is it? Sharing is caring. Follow on the TikTok. Follow on the Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts. Whatever you're listening to, whatever platform, I'm there, ready to be liked or followed or subscribed to. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye.